Social media explodes over what Maurice Sam just did, and the silence says everything. Guys, you know that feeling when you're scrolling through your feed, half paying attention, maybe sipping your coffee, and then you stumble across something that makes you stop mid-sip and whisper, "Wait, what?" to absolutely no one. That's exactly what happened when a quiet, almost missable moment between Maurice Sam and Sonia turned the entire internet into a detective agency. No press release, no dramatic announcement, no coordinated Instagram post with matching captions and carefully curated photo angles. Just a moment. A single, unguarded moment that somehow managed to speak volumes without uttering a single word. And suddenly, everyone who had been shouting theories and dissecting every interaction between these two went completely silent. The chaos didn't escalate, it evaporated. People weren't arguing anymore. They were watching. They were waiting. Because whatever just happened, it felt different. It felt real. Here's the thing about moments that go viral for the right reasons, they're usually the ones nobody planned. This wasn't a staged reveal during a live interview or a carefully timed TikTok with trending audio. It was organic, raw, and honest in a way that you can't fake even if you tried. Sonia, who's known for being expressive, articulate, and emotionally intelligent, was suddenly still. Not the kind of stillness that comes from being caught off guard or uncomfortable, but the kind that settles over you when something meaningful is happening and you're trying to absorb it all. Her silence wasn't empty, it was full. Full of emotion, full of weight, full of something that fans immediately recognized as significant. People who followed her journey know that she doesn't do performative vulnerability. She doesn't need to. So when she went quiet, when her usual composure shifted into something softer and more introspective, everyone leaned in closer. Maurice, on the other hand, looked like a man who had made peace with a decision long before the cameras caught it. There was a confidence in his posture, a calm certainty in the way he carried himself that didn't scream for attention but commanded it anyway. He wasn't trying to convince anyone of anything. He didn't need to. Whatever he revealed or expressed in that moment wasn't a question, it was a statement. And the beauty of it was that he didn't need words to make it land. His body language, his energy, the way he held space for both himself and Sonia, told the story better than any rehearsed speech ever could. Fans picked up on it immediately. They saw a man who wasn't posturing, wasn't performing, wasn't doing it for the likes or the headlines. He was simply being intentional. And intentionality, especially in a world where everything feels calculated for virality, hits different. What really got people talking wasn't just what happened, it was what didn't happen. There was no dramatic music in the background, no tear-filled monologue, no cryptic caption to decode later. The moment existed in its own simplicity, and that simplicity made it undeniable. Fans started comparing notes, rewatching clips, analyzing every micro-expression, not because they were looking for flaws or inconsistencies, but because they were trying to understand what they were witnessing. Was this a declaration? A promise? A turning point? Whatever it was, it felt personal. The kind of personal that makes you feel like you're intruding just by watching, but you can't look away because it's so rare to see something genuine unfold in real time. Sonia's reaction became the focal point almost immediately. Her eyes, the slight shift in her breathing, the way she seemed to hold herself just a little tighter, it all pointed to someone processing something profound. And here's where fans started to really dig in. Sonia doesn't wear her heart on her sleeve for sport. She's measured, thoughtful, protective of her emotional space. So for her to be visibly moved, for her guard to come down in a way that felt unscripted and unfiltered, that meant something. People who've been watching her for years recognized it instantly. This wasn't acting. This wasn't content creation. This was a woman experiencing a real moment with real emotions, and the vulnerability of it resonated deeply. Suddenly, all the noise, all the speculation, all the invasive questions about her personal life felt small and unnecessary. Because the truth was right there, playing out in front of everyone. Maurice's body language became a masterclass in quiet confidence. He wasn't defensive, wasn't over-explaining, wasn't trying to control the narrative. He was just present. Fully, unapologetically present. And in that presence, there was pride. Not the arrogant kind that demands validation, but the grounded kind that comes from knowing you're doing something right. There was certainty in the way he looked at Sonia, in the way he allowed the moment to breathe without rushing to fill it with noise. It was the kind of certainty that tells you a man has thought this through, has made a choice, and is standing firmly in it. Fans saw it. They felt it. And they started to believe that maybe, just maybe, this was the real deal. The internet, in all its chaotic glory, did what it does best: it dissected, debated, and discussed. But this time, something unusual happened. The tone shifted. Instead of endless argument about timelines and receipts and who said what when, people started observing quietly. The comment sections, usually a battleground of conflicting opinions, turned into spaces of reflection. Did you see the way he looked at her? Did you catch how she smiled after? This doesn't feel like the usual drama. The skeptics, who'd been loud and relentless in their doubts, started to reconsider. Because you can fake a lot of things on social media, you can fake chemistry, you can fake affection, you can even fake vulnerability if you're good enough. But you can't fake the way someone's energy changes when something real is happening. And that's what people were seeing here. Sonia's decision not to rush to social media with an explanation spoke volumes. In an era where everyone feels the need to clarify, justify, and narrate every aspect of their lives in real time, her silence was powerful. She didn't owe anyone an explanation, and she knew it. There was no frantic Instagram story, no damage control tweet, no carefully worded statement. Just her, living her life, trusting that the people who matter would understand, and the people who don't, well, their opinions were never her concern anyway. That level of self-assurance is rare, and it didn't go unnoticed. Fans respected it. They admired it. And in many ways, it made them trust her more. The gesture itself, whatever it was, became a subject of intense interpretation. Was it a promise? A declaration of commitment? A reassurance during uncertain times? A boundary being set with kindness but firmness? Everyone had a theory, and yet no one could definitively say. But here's the thing, they didn't need to. Because the impact was universal. Whatever Maurice did, it was enough to shift the energy. It was enough to make people pause and reconsider their assumptions. It was enough to signal that something had changed, and that change was not going to be undone by rumors or speculation. It was solid. It was real. And it was happening whether the internet approved or not. The timing couldn't have been more deliberate. Maurice didn't make his move during the peak of drama, when emotions were high and everyone was shouting over each other. He waited. He let the noise die down, let people exhaust themselves with their theories and hot takes, and then, when things were calm and quiet, he acted. That's strategy. That's emotional intelligence. That's the mark of someone who understands that the most powerful statements are made when people are actually ready to listen. And people listened. They stopped arguing. They stopped assuming. They started paying attention to what was actually in front of them instead of what they wanted to project onto the situation. Important moments don't have to be loud to be meaningful. That's a lesson the internet learned in real time. We are so conditioned to equate impact with volume, to believe that if something matters, it must be announced, proclaimed, broadcasted at maximum volume. But this moment proved otherwise. The quietness of it, the subtlety, the refusal to perform for the cameras, that's what made it resonate. That's what made people believe. Because when you strip away the noise, when you remove the need for external validation, what you're left with is the truth. And the truth, even when it's whispered, is always louder than the lies shouted from the rooftops. The silence spoke louder than any words could have. It was the kind of silence that holds meaning, that carries weight, that says, pay attention, something is shifting here. Fans felt it in their gut. They saw it in the way Sonia and Maurice moved around each other, in the new ease between them, in the quiet confidence that replaced the tension. This wasn't the same dynamic they'd been observing for weeks or months. Something fundamental had changed, and while they couldn't point to a specific sentence or gesture that spelled it out, they knew it. They felt it. And that intuitive knowing, that collective sense that something real was happening, created a shift in the entire conversation. People started to believe that things would not remain the same, but not in the dramatic, explosive way they'd come to expect from celebrity relationships. This felt grounded. This felt settled. There was no impending crash, no waiting for the other shoe to drop, no bracing for the inevitable fallout. Instead, there was a sense of stability, of two people finding their footing together and choosing to move forward with intention. It was refreshing. It was hopeful. And in a landscape where so much feels performative and temporary, it felt like something you could actually root for without feeling foolish for believing. The narrator's emphasis on action over noise became the anthem of this entire moment. When a man loves, actions speak louder than words. It's a simple truth, maybe even a cliché, but it landed with fresh impact because people were watching it play out in real time. They were seeing what it looks like when someone chooses to show up rather than just talk about showing up. They were witnessing what commitment looks like when it's not dressed up for Instagram but lived out in quiet, consistent choices. And for a generation that's been fed endless talk with minimal follow-through, seeing someone actually walk the walk hit differently. The overall sentiment, the collective belief that's now circulating through fan communities and comment sections, is one of cautious optimism. People want to believe that Maurice and Sonia will continue to give them authentic, meaningful moments. They're hungry for it, actually. In a world where so much feels manufactured and curated to within an inch of its life, genuine human connection stands out like a beacon. Fans are invested not because they need drama, but because they want to witness something real. They want to see two people navigate their relationship with honesty and grace. They want proof that it's possible to be public figures without sacrificing privacy, to be open without being performative, to share your life without selling your soul to the algorithm. So what happens now? The beauty of this moment is that nobody really knows, and for once, that uncertainty doesn't feel frustrating, it feels exciting. There's no script to follow, no predictable arc to anticipate. Maurice and Sonia have shown that they are capable of surprising people, of moving in ways that feel organic rather than calculated. And maybe that's the point. Maybe the lesson here isn't about what they said or didn't say, what they revealed or kept private. Maybe it's about remembering that real relationships, real moments, real love, they don't need a press release. They don't need a trending hashtag. They just need to be real. And when something is genuinely real, when it's rooted in actual emotion and authentic connection, people recognize it. They feel it. They believe it. Here's the truth, we are all a little starved for authenticity. We scroll through perfectly filtered lives and carefully scripted moments, knowing deep down that it's all a performance but consuming it anyway because what else is there? And then something like this happens, something unplanned, unfiltered, undeniably real, and it reminds us why we got invested in the first place. It's not about the drama. It's about the humanity. So whatever Maurice and Sonia do next, whether they share it or keep it to themselves, whether they feed the curiosity or let people wonder, one thing is clear, they've already shown us what matters. And that's worth paying attention to. If you caught that moment, if you felt that shift, drop a comment and let us know what you think is coming next. And if you're here for genuine connections over manufactured drama, hit that subscribe button because we're watching this story unfold right alongside you.